We're here with the founder, Pratibha Gupta, and we're here with other members of Tandava Ceramics. Am I saying it correctly? Mm-hmm. And if you would, your names.
Zach McPherson.
Mariah Greenhoff.
Barb Bugeaud Martinez.
Lee Purcell.
And this a beautiful organic space. I mean, it's truly lived in. And it was old when you bought it. And then you renovated it, but it really has the palimpsest of history. Do you find that that's part of the allure?
Yeah, that was the main idea. Yeah. So the renovation was done accordingly.
Sure.
Just to look old.
It retains its character.
Yes, I have to thank my driver, my handyman. He's such a good woodworker. He installed all the windows, he installed all these windows new.
Marvelous.
And because all the wood was chewed up by the horses. Mm-hmm. So he changed them, all the doors which still look like the original. Mm-hmm. He's a good woodworker.
And yeah, the floor was not cement, as I understand. The floor was not cement when you bought it.
No. Floor was all broken. There were gutters for the horses. And so I had to remove the whole floor and pour new cement. So that was done. That was before we even started thinking about firing the kiln or building the kiln. So we built the kiln couple of years after. And Steve Vanek, they went to America, different kilns, to study different kilns. And he made a model as to what kind of kiln we wanted, according to our interest. And he made a model. We used to have a model upstairs made by him. He's an engineer, so he did a really good job. And we called Smith Sharp to lay the bricks. So they are very famous for wood kiln or for the kilns. And they sell fireproof bricks. So they came once we had the design, so they helped they laid the brickwork for the kiln. And then we started firing. Our first firing, I don't remember when it was, but yeah, so a few firings were good, but then it's really bad. There were too many cracks in the kiln and too much. So Lee knows the story, how we both kind of worked hard and trying to make it successful.
We'll go out to the kiln and we'll talk about that story when we can film kind of, because Zach was showing me you can see the strata of the earth. When you look in the door, there are the layers of it. Yeah, that's spectacular. But in this space, are you making, I don't see any wheels, so you're not throwing here. You're not actually building the pots here. What goes on in this space?
What goes?
Finishing work. Yeah. So most of the ceramics that are brought here are pre-fired in a bisque firing.
Okay.
And then they're brought here to finish. We have soda ash that we can add to it, terraceages. We have plenty of different ways we can finish it. Most of them are glazed, and sometimes they're not even glazed. You put them in naked because the fly ash that's coming from the kiln finishes the work for you. Okay. So really, with the wood kiln, you have what you think you want with the glaze or however you pre-finish it, and then it mixes with the ash in the kiln. But as far as here in this space, it's pretty much finishing, and then we all either have our own home studios or work at an art center or go to an art center. We kind of all work independently, and then we come here and work together kind of as that community figure, because you can't do this alone.
Yeah. A hybrid workflow of solo, independent, kind of sideload making, and then everyone comes together to make the firing happen, which is it's kind of a beautiful thing. I imagine, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but when you bring your works independently here, it's kind of a big reveal. Is there a lot of kind of oohing and awing and,
Oh, yeah.
and talking about how did you do that?
Whenever I see Mariah brings her new sculptures, and I'm like, ooh, I really like that. How are you
Yeah.
going to finish it?
Yeah.
Absolutely, same. I love to see what people have been working on.
Yeah.
It's very exciting.
Does that lend itself to new idea generation, or do you see solutions other people had in their work that then you incorporate into your own, or do you kind of allow everyone? You don't want to step on their stylistic choices.
I think it's the opposite. I think we draw from each other a lot, and Lee can speak to it too, because she always puts some new test in the kiln, which is great.
Every time.
Every time there's something new going in. And sometimes it's kiln placements, sometimes it's what did you do differently, what glazes did you layer. I think when we come here and we're glazing, it's always interested in more structure. So like when I see, new sculptures, I think that's great. And then there's a second ooh-ah. It's always the biggest ooh-ahs when we're unloading the kiln. Yeah. We got a couple people in the kiln, and then they hand something out, and you just see the whole or hear the whole group go ooh at the same time. Yeah. And then we kind of not sit down, but after we unload, we stay for a little bit and really discuss what worked, what didn't, what pieces we really liked, and we can ask, how did you do that so I can try that next time? And it's usually these.
Everybody learns from each other. It is a community, and everybody's learning from each other. Everybody's coming from a different standpoint, a different point of view. And then when we all get together, we create something that you couldn't create by yourself. Yeah. It is the sum of the whole. That might sound really cliche-ish, but it's exactly what it is. It's the sum of the whole. And because there are wood-fired potters who who fire by themselves. They have a small kiln and they fire by themselves. And at some point in time, sometimes it's a bit of a conversation with yourself. Yeah. And instead of, you might not have thought about something in the same way someone else, they look at things differently. And it's like, oh, that's a different way of looking at it. And let's look at it from that way and let's try that. Why not? Each time is, you try something maybe a little different or a different take on something just to tweak things, whether that's a test in the kiln or doing something slightly different with the firing. Yeah.
Can you think of an example of one of those aha moments through that interaction with the fellow members? Is there?
It's my main source of glaze inspiration, I
How
think.
so?
Seeing things that come out of the kiln and asking Barb, what is that glaze?
Yeah.
I want to use that next time. And then making a mental note and trying a few pieces next time with that glaze. Yeah.
Or,
absolutely.
I like the fact that we work independently. So you don't have to worry about what's that person doing. I'm just doing my thing in my space. But then we come together and it feels almost kind of festive because it may have been a few months since we've all been together. We come together and bring our pieces and do the glazing here. And I might see, last time I saw somebody kind of pouring glaze in a way that was really looking nice on this platter. And I said, oh, I've got a plate here, but I'm not going to take your thing. No, go for it. Your hand is different than mine. You're going to pour differently than I do. You're going to do something differently. And so that's how we learn from each other, I think.
Yes.
And that brings up the question: how often do you fire? Is this
About 4 times a year.
Quarterly, roughly?
Yeah.
Yeah. And how is that organized? Does someone put out a call or?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a text right now, and now we're trying to coordinate people onto a specific app, which would make things a little easier.
Sure.
But it's kind of corralling everybody and seeing what timing works for everybody, and then the work that goes around it, cutting the wood and all that. All of that has to be coordinated because Glencoe is not right around the block. No one lives out here, so.
The process takes a lot of time,
It
right?
does.
This is not a 4-hour endeavor.
It is not.
How long does it take?
Multi-day. Well, it depends on what you mean by how long does it take.
Yeah.
Because, cutting wood, that takes at least a day if we have a dozen plus people out. Usually that's broken up into 2 days potentially. Then stacking, that can be broken up between 2 days, but we try to get it done in one. And then the firing can be, I think we were chatting before this, it used to be, they had a week, and they'll talk, Lee, I want you to talk about it when we're outside. It was before my time, which I'm very thankful. But when I first started in 2018, we were firing at like 60 some hours. And now we, go
And
down
that's
to 40, sub 40 now.
60 hours straight, and you got to keep it stoked.
Yes.
And you have to be fairly, I'm going to say, scientific about the temperature
Yeah,
that
the
it
ramping
maintains.
of it. You don't want to rise too quickly because things happen to the clay. If it's a heavy iron clay body, you risk damaging the pots. So it is a science.
Yeah. About
We take shifts,
You take shifts. All right. Yeah.
every 6-hour shift.
And you said upstairs there's a space I can take a nap if I get tired during the during the interview. Yeah. So because people have to sleep. Well, maybe there's not that much sleeping going on. Lee, you said you take overnights.
I do, and then when I'm not on shift, we usually there's always 2 people tending the kiln,
Okay.
and there's always at least 1, maybe 2 people here for safety, because if something happens to somebody out there, we can deal with that, and then other people can step in and take care of whatever needs to be taken care of. So we always have at least 1 other person roaming around upstairs, sleeping, doing their thing, or 2 people, just in case. So we're very safety orientated.
Very
Yep.
good. Very good.
And then you've got cleanup.
Oh, yes.
And cleanup's
yes.
the worst of it.
You have to clean up after you're done.
You gotta vacuum out the kiln. You gotta hope it didn't rain before you
Ew.
clean up. Otherwise, you're vacuuming up sludge. Thank you, Barb, for doing that.
All the boarding need to be removed and all that. It's a lot of work.
Yeah,
These
grind
are
all the
days.
Shelves need to
You
be
gotta grind that,
ground.
okay.
Every time.
Yep,
grinding
and
shelves grinding
posts
furniture.
and yeah.
So all the furniture in the kiln has to be ground, and then we usually kind of scrape the arch, the top of the kiln inside, so that less stuff falls on our work, because it's continuing to flake every once in a while.
Okay.
So we take a very light kind of scrape to that.
And when Lee says the furniture in the kiln, she's talking about the posts and shelves that support the work. So the kiln is empty, but each time you fire, according to the size of the pieces that are going in there, you have to make the shelf this high or that high, and you just
Appropriate to the work.
yes. So you have to rebuild that, and it's called the furniture.
And I understand that it goes into the Anagama kiln here after it's been fired once already, right? A bisque firing. And transport, what does it take to transport, and how many pots are you moving? Oh, and I shouldn't just say, because it's not just pots. How many works are you moving to get hundreds?
It is hundreds.
Per firing?
Yes.
Wow.
Obviously, it depends on the size of the work and everything.
Yeah.
If you're having something that's 2 feet tall, you're not going to get too much in there, but it's the combination of those works, fitting things into the nooks and crannies, because the closer you have pots, the more the flame can interact with the pot and brush around it, maybe touch another pot. But yeah, hundreds each time. Some are lighter than the others, but the more dense we pack it, the more even the firing becomes, the more control we have over it. So it's on us to make sure we can fill it as much as possible.
And maybe this is getting too granular, and I don't want to start any fights, but I'm curious how proportionally you divide the interior space. Like, do you all get a certain amount of space, or is it okay?
It's always just worked out well.
It's
Really?
We just bring
magic.
We
It's
just bring
magic.
everything we have, and we see how much we can fit, and we very often fit everything in. It surprises even us.
There's a couple pieces
sometimes.
usually left,
Yeah.
and it just works out perfect. It's like, oh, I guess that one's not going. It's gonna go in next time.
Yep,
There's
yep.
always
It
a
works
next
very
time.
well.
Yeah.
So whatever doesn't get in this time goes in next time.
Sure.
And if someone really has something coming up that they need something, well, then they'll get priority, because that's just who we are. It's just what it is. But other than that, it's what's out here we do our best to get whatever is in and its shape,
Shape
and
is
then what's
big.
on it. So kind of makes a difference.
In this space, you're primarily, as you said, applying glazes and kind of
Finishings.
Finishings is
Okay.
Glazing and wadding.
Glazing and what?
Wadding.
Wadding. Tell us about wadding.
Yeah, so every pot has typically 3 or 4 wads on the bottom, and that's to keep it from fusing to the kiln shelf. Otherwise, it would never come off the shelf. So, yep, after everything is glazed, the bottom is wiped clean, and then wads are applied.
All right. And go ahead.
Nope. I was looking to see if there was a piece that was wadded over there.
You can see it on
should
this
take
one.
a-
I just
oh, there
brought
we
from the
go.
back here. You can, I don't know if you can zoom in on that, but each one of those dots is a piece of wadding. So when you're firing an atmospheric kiln, like wood kilns or even like a soda kiln, it's if you just have the piece, well, glaze is going to form on the very bottom of it, and it will, like Mariah said, fuse to the kiln shelf. So by using wadding, that has a different content than the actual clay body, we can easily remove those things. Then you can just flick them off at the end if there's not a huge amount of glaze built up on them.
Sure.
And minor drips can happen, and you can still sand those off. So
Okay.
it saves you from some of those drip incidents. Yep.
Sure.
Yeah, wood fire pieces. I mean, if you looked at the bottom, all the ones that are in the show, you'd probably find a few that had to be treated,
Sure.
grinding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I imagine
No.
the more you do, the more you get a sense of how much wadding this piece needs and how much the glaze is gonna.
Very much so the glaze, yeah. It's like, all right, at the bottom, go very light. And it depends on the clay, the glaze as well. One of our favorite glazes that Mariah and I use all the time barely moves, like not even a millimeter. But then you'll apply something like our rebate glaze, and you can put it 10 times thinner than the Shino that we use, and it's going to run every time. But that's why we always test, and we always make sure that we're kind of improving and trying to get things adjusted.
What contributes to the amount that the glaze will shift and move? What elements?
Flux is a big part, Lee.
Besides
Feldspar, yeah, flux.
Flux in the. Yeah.
in the glaze,
Lee is expert on that.
it's not only what's in the glazes, but it's also what temperature you go to, how much you have on the piece, how long you hold it at what temperature, and then other strange things about it are how thick the piece is and what kind of clay body. All those things have an amazing group of things that will make a difference on how much something runs or not.
Sure.
So it's amazing if I have a porcelain piece or if I have a high iron stoneware piece, that glaze is going to move dramatically different because of the porcelain piece. The glaze will steal part of the feldspar from the porcelain, so it gets shinier and moves more. And on the stoneware, that doesn't happen. That's more about thickness of the pot and thickness of the glaze, and then kiln placement. So if we put it right in front, if we put it in back, up at the arch, down at the bottom, it's all going to melt slightly different.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
And it sounds like, can you fire any type of clay body in there? No. What can you not?
Well, technically you could,
Yeah.
depending on what temperature you go to.
Okay.
So we could do all earthenware, except we wouldn't be going very hot. You wouldn't be going more than 2,000 degrees. It doesn't seem like it's that much difference, but it's
the difference between having a piece at the end and having a puddle at the end.
it is.
Literally, we've had pieces accidentally go in. Right at the beginning.
You learn.
You
yeah.
learn.
Yeah.
We had was it earthenware?
No.
No,
What
it
was
was slip. I put a cone 5 slip in there,
Got
and that the kiln goes to cone 10. So yeah, that was not the right temperature clay body, and they did just melt into little puddles.
Wow.
So
It wasn't very pretty.
Tell us about the cones for people that don't know how that relates to firing process and what that means.
So cones are it's basically a temperature gauge. Cone 10 Lee, you're going to be better at this than me than listing them all off. But when we compare to like lava, let's say lava is between 2,000 and 2,200 degrees. Cone 10, which is what we try to go to, is 2,350. And it's a huge range from like cone 5, which is around 2,000. And then the increments go smaller and smaller because those temperatures have a huge difference on what happens to the actual clay body. And it goes 1 to 10, and then it goes actually below that, and it goes 04, 06, it actually goes in the opposite direction. And that's where, like 04 to 06 is where our bisqueware is. Lee, can you talk about temperatures more?
Bisque is about 1850. And then the final firing, it's not just about the temperature. It's about how long we hold it at that temperature. It's time and temperature. Time and temperature plays a huge factor in how something comes out.
Sure.
If we it's not like an oven. We can't just go to 450 degrees and then we're done. It's going to the temperature we want to. If we want to go slower or faster getting there, how long we hold it at that temperature, and then how long we fire down at the temperature. So how quickly we come down in temperature will grossly affect the glazes. They could have a more crystalline growth if we grow slower in the fire down, or if we hold it just below the top temperature, the cones are still going to go down. But because we've held it at a lower temperature longer, it's time and temperature. The glazes mature, the cones go down, life goes on, everything is great. So it's a combination of the two.
And these cones are made of different clay.
Okay.
So they will bend over, they will melt and start tipping at different temperatures.
And is there a porthole, kind of a viewing, so you can?
Yeah. You've done this in another life.
Well, I did study ceramics briefly under Mel Jacobson in high school, actually. Speaking of, so I've been saying kill and not pronouncing the N. It sounds like some of you pronounce the N. What's appropriate? What is?
It's a kiln.
With an N.
Yeah.
A little bit of the N at the end.
Yeah. I think we just say it fast sometimes. But yeah.
Kiln with an N, yeah.
Let's go ahead, Zach.
I was going to say just what Barb was just saying, touching on that more. So that's called a cone pack if we zoom in on it. If you show a picture where we're at. And we place them all over the kiln because the kiln from the front to the back can be very different and even side to side. So we can check in on all the different parts of the kiln during the firing process. So, and we have a firing log that we make notes on, and we can make note east is half down on cone 10, or trying to catch up the west side right now. And so we can make micro adjustments to the kiln, and like Lee was saying, that time and temperature will have the impact on the individual cones in that pack, which will guide us. It's very scientific compared to going off of what the actual clay looks like, because you can do some of it visually if you're looking at the actual glossiness. Once you get a gloss on it, you're like, ooh, we're almost there. But really, that's not until the very end. So being able to have these extra tools to guide us is so helpful in the process.
Let's go take a look at the kiln.
Sure.
Here's the kiln. An anagama kiln. What does that mean? What is an anagama kiln?
It means cave, right?
It is Japanese style kiln.
A
The
Japanese inspired. Okay.
Anagama is there are a lot of different kinds of kiln. Anagama is one of the Japanese style kiln.
When it first came over to Japan in the 5th century from Korea potters, actually. And then it's almost the simplest form from back in the day, and then they grew off that. So you have nobu origami kilns, which are stacked tunnels together. So we just have like a half tunnel here, and you have anagamas are typically built into hillsides. We kind of made Pratibha made her own little hillside here, so you could really control the flow of it. And it's just one chamber. Other anagamans have multiple chambers. It really just depends on where you want to go with it.
looks to me like Yoda's hut on Dagobah. I mean, the form of it is, you know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah, it's exactly it. Yep. It is a little Yoda-like. Yep.
Right?
Yep. You have to kind of crunch down to get in.
Yeah.
Yep.
Then it is
How-
designed according to the draft you want to get.
Right.
The flame, which direction you want to move, that's how it is designed.
So it's
It is in
climbing.
steps. It's steps. You can see from inside there it's built into steps.
That stepping action on the interior, does it matter where you place an object based on kind of the effects you're hoping to create the conditions to occur? Yeah.
It can vary dramatically. If it's right up front, you're going to get more ash, which can be just stunning and beautiful. And then if it's in a more protected area, you might get more flame markings. That you have a pot in front and you have a bigger pot in the back, so it kind of goes around that shorter pot, kind of like water or rocks in a river. It kind of goes around things, and then it'll mark that taller pot with that more of a blank area. So the flame markings can be very dramatic, and then also glazes, etc.
The runnier glazes do better in the very back
Yes.
of the kiln, and the lighter glazed or just naked pots do better in the front. They'll
Yes.
get dumped with ash.
I think there's several pieces in the gallery actually that have no glaze on them other than the fly ash that's hitting the pot
Right.
and melting onto it. So you don't have to glaze work.
Nope.
You can just do that. And on the opposite side, if you don't like that effect, historically, and I think, Lee, you've done it a couple times, putting saggers in, which is basically a jar that you're putting pots inside of to either protect them from the fly ash,
Isolated?
or you want to create more carbon trapping on the piece, and you can put flammable material within the sagger.
Spectacular. I imagine on the loading of the kiln, everyone needs to be here and contributing and
Assembly line.
Yeah. Do you have to arm wrestle over positions sometimes, or?
No. First of all, loading the kiln is it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's a little Yoda-like. So you origami yourself kind of into the kiln. So it's not the most comfortable thing to load. So there's not a whole lot of people who fight to do the way back.
Yeah.
It is close quarters in there.
Okay.
But usually we have one person in back and one person in the front loading at the same time. And that seems to work really well. So.
And then we have, this whole area is filled with tables with all the work.
Okay.
Yes.
So we try to separate it into pieces that are of various heights. So when in the kiln, whoever is loading says, I need 6-inch pots or shorter.
All right.
Then we start bringing them to the door.
Right.
Yeah, right. And the same when we're building the furniture that Lee talked about when we were inside. Behind you is shelving with the different posts of different sizes that will hold the shelves, which are back here, as we're building up. So the people inside are calling for shelves, posts, pots,
Sizes.
wadding, and what else?
Sizes of the
Oh, and sizes of the pots.
Yes.
Yeah.
We usually have someone at the wicket, which is the door of the kiln, calling it out.
Sure.
And we're all agreeable, so there's not too much fighting over where things
No.
are going. Yeah, people.
It's according to the size.
It's always a fun experiment, no matter where the pot is.
Yes.
So I don't think any of us mind too much where it is.
Well, that's disappointingly undramatic.
I'm so
You're
sorry.
also agreeable. I was hoping for more drama.
Conscious of like the space that we take up. Especially, I think Lee's overly conscious. She always doesn't put as much as you need to put more in.
We'll try.
I want to introduce Jeff Krell. He's our master woodworker who has fixed our barn and the cottage and everything. So yeah, everybody had been.
Make it look old.
Very good. Are you in guitar relicking as well? That's a relicking. That's what that's a whole nother thing. Yeah. The wicket, does that stay open during the firing? Do you brick it up?
With the brick back here.
Yeah.
So we brick by brick.
This is the door, actually.
Is that right?
Yeah, from the bottom layer all the way to the top.
And I see numbers.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
It's very orderly, and somehow we always mess it up.
Is that right?
There's always like one brick where it's like, wait a second, this isn't adding up.
Label it every time, and it's different every single time. But you know what? It's still organized.
It does.
It works well. So.
How does anagama, you explained how it came from a Japanese tradition of ceramic firing that came originally from Korea. How does anagama firing relate or compare to raku firing?
Very different.
Yeah, how so?
First of all, temperature.
Yep.
Raku usually doesn't go much more than bisque. It's usually isn't much more than 1900 degrees.
Okay. Lower temperature.
So it's lower temperature. Most of raku is non-functional. Usually, traditionally, it was all associated with the tea ceremony. So you would get your cups made, and they were kind of like a one-time use, maybe. So raku is limited in what you can do with it, functionality-wise.
Functional.
Right. Storage-wise, for food and so on. And this can go to a higher temperature. It doesn't have to. And we also get opportunity to screw around with much more of the surface than raku. The raku process doesn't allow you to, during the firing, have an impact greatly on the surface. That's all post-reduction. That's all post-firing. And this is all what's happening in the kiln. We're trying to affect the pots while it's firing. So that's like the biggest difference, I guess.
I think people pair them together because there's the unpredictable nature of each, but really, like, they're so different. Like,
They're really different.
They're, this is atmospheric firing. It's getting finished in the kiln versus out of the kiln where you're pulling stuff out of the raku kiln and putting it into potentially combustible materials and whatnot.
Yes.
And the food safe aspect of it. Everything in here, unless there's all of our stuff, all of our glazes are food safe. Yeah. And it's non-porous work at all. It's one of those things.
Do you all emphasize functionality and utilitarian aspects? Lee, you're shaking your head.
No, I mean...
No, I primarily make sculptures.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, it's a bonus if they're functional, but not always my top priority.
Yeah.
Everything has a function. It could just exist, and that's a
Aesthetic
function.
function.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So-
Yep. Sculptures serve a different aesthetic function.
So
Definitely.
whether you eat off of it or not, that's okay, but
There's got to be
Yeah.
one abstract maker in the kiln, right? It's got to be me.
yes.
Yes.
It can be both sculptural and utilitarian, like
Yes.
that bird of mine.
Yeah.
You can, it's a bowl also, and it's a sculpture also. So it can be both. Like
Not
in
mutually.
Mariah's, this is holding flowers also. So it depends what you do with the piece.
Do any of you also engage in raku firing?
Not me.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Which is not, it's okay.
Oh.
Since a lot of the fun stuff happens after you take it out of the firing,
Yeah.
that's okay. I prefer to have an effect on my pots while they're being fired,
Yeah.
to be part of that process. It's different than all post firing. So,
Scratches a different itch, but this
Exactly.
is your main love.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. This has been an integral part of my journey as an artist, of being able to fire much more atmospherically, much more involved in how things come out, working with the flame and how it affects the pots. That is nothing to sneeze at. So, yeah.
It's a beautiful alchemy. They're bisque fired before. Is that happening in a gas fired kiln?
Electric.
Electric.
Yeah.
You can put them in raw,
Yeah.
naked.
What's the word for that?
A greenware.
Greenware.
Yeah, so you can put them in greenware. They should be bone dry if you're going to put them in greenware. And then we have to go up very slowly because we do not want them to explode.
Because of air pockets?
No.
Water
Fallacy.
is the biggest thing. Yes. So
Fallacy.
you can put in a pot that's completely sealed, but the
Bone dry.
Bone dry, and then also you have to watch how fast you're climbing the kiln at the beginning there. If you do something wrong, it's going to explode, and you do not want shards of a greenware pot to hit another pot. Yeah. So just safety-wise, it's better to just biscuit and not have to worry.
Doesn't know your piece breaks and everything around the piece.
And that's the
It's
problem.
destroyed, so that's why we don't put very much greenware in the
No.
kiln.
I can't remember last time we did,
No.
but we have like a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
How, proportionally, how much do you lose per firing?
A portion.
Small percentage.
We've gotten better.
Is that right?
I think it's being a part of this process, you need to be aware that you're not going to get it every single time. You know, when you put something in at Cone 6, an electric kiln, it's mostly going to do exactly what you want it to do. But you get, in my opinion, just more character out of the pieces, out of, you know, the wood kiln. But there's a cost to that. You know, Lee talked about scraping the arch every single time because, you know, the bricks degrade over time, and that degradation can lead to a chip falling on your platter. And if you do that, you know, sometimes you can fix it and sometimes you can't. We've definitely improved over time. We put essentially walls up in the kiln to kind of help the ash get through, but, you know, maybe bar a piece of wood from hitting a pot.
Sure.
So those little things that we do and we talk about after every firing when we make adjustments help with ensuring that the most number of pieces can come out.
Cool.
And I think it's also our own learning and adjustment to actually, what could I make that I could put in the front of the kiln
Different
that would
parts of the kiln.
have no glaze on it,
Yes.
and would actually, it would be enhanced by the ash that's going to fall on it. You know, so it's just a different question. It's a different need to satisfy, you know. So you kind of learn the kinds of things that you make and where you might like to see them in the kiln for what you're going to get there.
And sometimes the glaze comes out, you know, more gray than you want because it got ashed.
Yeah.
But it is always a unique experience. So even if it's not expected, I think it's exciting. Maybe not what you thought it'd be, but still,
Sometimes
you know.
we need to be schooled sometimes.
Exactly.
We need to be humble.
Yeah. That's just part of wood firing.
Is there,
Surprise effect is the beauty of it.
It is.
Yes.
It is true.
is there anything you can do about it after the fact? Can you fire it again, for instance?
You could.
There's a lot of things you could do.
You could.
You could, sometimes there is a piece that's like just a little more melting that needs to happen, and we could put it back into the wood kiln, or you could throw it into electric kiln just to get it set a little bit.
All right.
If something cracks, there's not a whole lot you can do. If something chips, or if, like, let's say a piece of brick falls on it, you can grind it down. Maybe that looks good. You can always apply more glaze and refire it.
Or you can just use it as a learning experience and move on and make something else.
That's the most effective thing to do, is move on. You don't need to be spending time doing additional work.
Make
If
another
two
one.
pots like kiss, you know, and fuse,
Yeah.
it's kind of over for those. But you can, I mean, it's a great glaze example. So kind of put it on the shelf and learn from it. Yeah.
Was there anything that you wished that I'd asked that I didn't?
I think you have done very good job. We are really impressed how well you are conducting and asking us all the questions that I hope we don't have to scratch our brain too much.
Easy for us, yeah.
I want Lee to talk about the progression. I know you touched on it inside as well, but what this place used to be and how it's kind of grown over the last like 15 years.
Yeah, this
We'd
store,
explain it
imagine
somehow.
in this rain, we used to step on the planks of wood because it was all water. And then all the team members, I only gave suggestion what to do, and
It
they
was a wonderful suggestion.
built this floor, and now we can stand on it and feel so dry in this heavy rain also. So it has really taken shape.
It has.
A lot of shape with team effort. Everybody worked in.
Yep.
In fact, our last firing last fall was in December.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was in December, and that was challenging, but it happened.
It
We're
happened.
doing a Thanksgiving deadline from
It was a little nippy,
Yeah, yeah.
but you know,
Did you find it harder to reach temperature and maintain temperature?
no, that was not the problem.
It was the loading.
It's all about us and our own comfort.
Yeah.
The kiln was fine. All of us, on the other hand, were a little bit more popsicle-like. So
Kiln is good after we renovated it, after we
Oh,
worked on it.
huge.
And before that it was very difficult to reach the temperature needed. But now, of course,
Now it's dead even,
it's
It is-
beautiful, beautiful. Yeah.
and it's been a group of years, kind of an ongoing thing of every year after every firing, looking at it, where we were challenged, what went well, and then kind of pushing that more. It's like, how can we make this better? And then making changes. So now when we fire, it's like, oh, now the kiln is even from top to bottom, from back to front. And that's not a small feat for a wood kiln.
For sure.
So, yeah, it's knock on wood, things. The kiln is working really well.
Awesome.
So, and so is the group.
Yeah.
So,
We've had guest potters fire with us.
Oh, is that right?
And and I think we have that confidence now with our kiln and how it performs, that if another potter wants to, maybe we know we're going to be low on pieces, maybe we just want to, maybe somebody brings to our attention somebody who would like to wood fire. And so we've done that, and people have been pretty pleased, I think, with what they've gotten out of Tandava.
How do people find you?
we have a website.
Yeah.
Yeah, people have reached out to us on their website, and you kind of, not a lot of folks have wood fire experience, so you start from scratch, and it's just a great group of people. There's so much collective knowledge that I learned how to wood fire by doing it, which is probably the best way to learn, is just to get
It
in
is.
there and start doing it.
And we just did Art-A-Whirl at Sociable Cider. We've been doing that for a number of years. We've had a group show at the Arboretum, and that show went very well. Where else?
Cellar.
Oh, yeah.
There's several places.
Yep,
that
we
we
are.
Hopkins Center for the Arts.
Hopkins Center for the Arts.
Just waiting.
No, we're getting there.
Hopkins Art Center has given us such a good opportunity to show our work.
Oh, the gallery is lovely.
The gallery's lovely. All we had to do was walk in. Everything was set up, beautifully managed. Thank you. Yeah.
And to see all the pots so elevated, it was really special,
It
because
was.
it is a labor of love. It takes an army to make this happen, and really special to see
It
all
is.
the work together, as it should be.
Well, thank you for sharing your work with our community.
Thanks for being
coming
here.
here. Yeah, thank you.